Welcome, everyone. I'm Dr. Marcia Martin, the heart healer, and I have with me today a very special gift, Zemiyrah. And Zemiyrah wants to share with us her story and her special offer because we want all of you to live a life that feels good, a life that is free of abuse, a life that is filled with joy and with freedom. And sometimes it's necessary to make bold steps in order to move from that place of trauma and abuse to the place of empowerment and freedom. And Zemiyrah is one of the people who has done just that. So, Zemiyrah, tell us a little bit about your journey, how you came to the realization that you just couldn't keep going the way you were going, and then how did you find the courage to actually take action?
Yes, you know, it was a long road, a lot of a lot of inner work, basically, a lot of sitting.
You know what? It's breaking up. I can barely hear you. Welcome, everyone. I'm Dr. Marcia Martin, the heart healer, and I am delighted to share with you my special guest, Zemiyrah. Zemiyrah has an incredible story to share and a gift for all of you because it's so important to live a life that feels good, to get away from abuse and trauma, and to step into the place of empowerment and freedom. But it's not always easy to make that decision, to take that step. You have to be bold and courageous. And Zemiyrah is one of those people who took the initiative, made the decision, and took action. So, Zemiyrah, please tell us how you were able to first identify that you were in a situation that you didn't need to be in, and were you motivated to actually take action that enabled you to get out of that dysfunctional environment into a place of peace?
Yes, so thank you for having me, and thank you for being a part of this evening, I want to say first. And so for me, it was a journey. My last situation, last narcissistic relationship, I actually was pushed into my greatness. And, as you're watching me right now, you're seeing me as someone who, you know, is someone who put together this amazing event with all these amazing speakers. But what you don't know about me is that I was actually put in a position in my last relationship where I choose between having an abortion with my now only in the relationship because this person felt as though they did not want to move forward with bringing another life. And so I had to make very hard decisions about what I was going to do and who I was and what I stood for. In that process, it was hard. It was very hard because I had to separate mentally, but physically separate from a home that I had worked so hard for us to, get together. And so I had to migrate with me and my 4 children at the time while being pregnant with my 5th. And I had to do a lot of prayer, a lot of spiritual baths, a lot of meditation. This is before I was even really learning breath work. I was doing, working out, physical, I was trying to stay fit as much as I could at the time, even though I was pregnant. But it was a lot because I had to really do the inner work and find out, what happened. How did I allow myself to get in a situation to where I had to even make this type of hard decision in pregnancy? So it was very heavy, a very heavy and traumatic time and experience for me. But what I found was that when I focused on myself and who I was before the relationship and what my goals were, what my dreams and aspirations were, then I began to start the healing process. And of course, I am still on the journey. I'm not anywhere near arrival. I am still on this continuous journey of healing and transformation. But I will say that when you say healing, healing then begins to say yes to you.
Well, and I think it's so important that you make that distinction. The journey always continues. And one of the ways that you're honoring the journey is with this incredible summit that you've put together. And all of you who are listening, you too are invited on October 30th, beginning at 9 a.m. Pacific time. You are invited to join all of us as we help you navigate the journey from that place of trauma into the place of triumph. So you're going to not just hear from Zemiyrah and her ability to overcome and to really step forward into a new way of being, but you're going to hear from other people who also have been on the journey and have learned so much along the way. So we invite you, if you are in a narcissistic relationship or you just feel uncomfortable in the relationship that you're in because you don't feel honored, we invite you to join us and to get the information, the support, and the guidance that you need so that you can make an informed decision and start getting your life back on track. So, Zemiyrah, what was the first thing that you did when you decided, okay, I got myself in the wrong relationship and I need to get out? How did you begin?
For me, it was like I said, just doing that personal work. It was kind of good that I was pushed out of the situation because I probably would have continued to stay and try to make it work and, try to figure out what it was that I was doing wrong. How can I continue to overcompensate? And so, we as empaths, we tend to do that. We overcompensate externally because we don't want to really do the work internally. We don't want to sit with ourselves. And so we look for validation in others because we haven't learned how to give that validation to ourselves first. And so I was, like I said, forced into my purpose. I did not intend, this to be my purpose, but I'm very grateful that it is now. But however, it did not come at an easy cost. And so for me, it was just a lot of moments of stillness. I think a lot of us are afraid of those moments of stillness to really sit and sit with ourselves because we're so used to external validation and external stimulation that we don't get used to just being quiet and being still. And so there was a lot of moments where I literally had to just sit still. I used tools, like I said, such as spiritual baths and meditation, but those were just tools to help me heal. I had to really, like I said, talk to myself, do a lot of journaling. Really, journaling was very key for me because there's a lot of cognitive dissonance that goes on when you're learning all of this new information and you're healing and growing, but then you have all this other information that's been stored into you, stuff that has been planted into you since you were a child or before you were a child. All of this stuff that has been ingrained in toxicity, you have to now unlearn everything and really start fresh. But you go through this juggle in this turmoil for a while. And I know healing, it sounds beautiful and everything, and it is, but it does not come with a price tag. It comes at a very heavy cost. And so it's not that easy to go through that journey because it doesn't always look pretty in the beginning. It's kind of like that diamond, that diamond has to grind and it has to go through a lot of things before it becomes a diamond. It's just doesn't just shine, automatically. It has to go through a lot of pressure before it becomes a diamond that you know and love.
And what a great point. And for those of you who are wondering whether you can get any help out of a summit, just look at all that Zemiyrah helped us understand. First of all, healing won't happen overnight. You've got to be committed to the journey. You have to understand that if you are looking outward for someone to blame, you're never going to find the cause of the problem, and you'll probably just end up in a relationship that is similar to the one you left or stay in the one that you're already in. So be prepared to do the inner work. But be prepared to do it without condemnation. So, Zemiyrah, how did you overcome that hurdle of stopping yourself from condemning yourself for the mistakes that you made?
So I think a lot of that is, I'm glad you brought that point up, because a lot of us, we learn how to stop condemning the other person, but we still condemn ourselves internally. You know, excuse me, we'll say things to ourselves and we may not say them out loud, but inside of our head, we're saying all these things to ourselves, like, how could you do this? How did you let yourself get in this situation? Blah, 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 so forth and so on. And this took me a very long time to get past. I think this is probably one of the hardest things to get to move forward into. It's this part is definitely the harder part of the journey, because you have to really replace the words that you say. I found that whenever there's a negative habit that you have to learn how to replace it with the good habit. Because if you just try to cut it off cold turkey, that's going to, good luck with that. It's going to be it's a lot harder to continue that way. So what I found would work for me was that to whatever negative thing I said to myself, if I, whatever it was, like, I mean, let's, for instance, oh my God, you're so stupid to let yourself get in that situation. I would say, before, as soon as I caught that thought, cancel. And then I would come up with a positive affirmation that I could then replace, that positive thought that I could replace with that negative thought. So it would look something like, you are learning and your wisdom came at a price. And so, I'm just making up things as I go along here, but your wisdom came as a price, and you're learning, and you're becoming stronger every day. So instead of calling myself, stupid, I would call myself, I was learning, and there's a difference. When you're learning, you don't know. And so you have to give yourself that grace, because we have to realize that a lot of us were not raised, I say this all the time, we were not raised to recognize the signs of narcissism. I'm sure most of our parents probably didn't even know a term, knew that was an actual thing, raising us. They did not have that knowledge and information to really pass along to us. And so therefore we did not have the information to look for red flags. I didn't I didn't know anything about red flags and what to look for. I was just trial and error. I was dating who I thought was who I thought I wasn't compatible with. So knowing that, when you know that you didn't know, then you give yourself grace as if you would anyone else, and when they don't know.
I think that is so powerful, is that self-love is the answer to your healing journey being manageable and your healing journey being just a war zone. If you're going to hold on to that self-hatred and you think you're going to heal from that place, it's just not possible. So thank you for really showing us why that is so important. If we knew better, we would do better. Obviously, we didn't know better. And so we got into relationships with people who we thought were really something magical, who may have their own, well, not may, definitely have their own insecurities and are trying to pretend that they don't, instead of just being honest and opening up and saying, gosh, I got this thing going on and I don't feel good about this. The narcissistic individual tries to sort of bluff their way through it. And I think we have to be aware as receivers that you can't always read it in advance. Sometimes they are extremely good at holding up a false front. So if you feel that you've been caught in a situation where there was a false front and it sort of feels surreal when you get to see the real person, believe me, we've been there and experienced that. So that is a fabulous reason why you should join us in this summit. When you get to hear from all sorts of different viewpoints, you may hear some that applies to you and some that you're like, no, not really. But you'll have the opportunity to really figure out what works best for you. what exit strategy is going to work for you? How do you want to build yourself up? What is possible and what isn't possible? So I strongly urge all of you to join us on October 30th. This is a free opportunity for you to get the education that we did not have and shorten your healing journey so much. There is nothing that is going to take the place of doing the inner work. But when you have the knowledge that you've gained from people that have already experienced it and found a way out, you're going to be that much further ahead than we were when we began, because we didn't have anything, and that much further ahead than those that say, oh no, I can do it myself. Yes, you can, but it's going to cost you. And so this is your opportunity to learn from people like Zemiyrah and others who have experienced this, to learn from self-aware narcissists, people who know how to play the game and why they're playing it, and find out what's making them tick. So please join us. You will be so grateful that you did, and it will certainly move you forward on your healing journey and help you from getting back into the same situation just because you didn't know better. So, Zemiyrah, what have you found to be your biggest takeaway in terms of how you prevented yourself from getting right back into another one of these narcissistic relationships?
Yeah, I would just say being fed up. That
Well,
I know that may sound simple, but really, as I did the deep inner healing work, I realized that I was in one narcissistic relationship after the next. They were literally just packaged differently. And so I had to say, wait, hold up. What is going on? Why am I continuing to make these poor choices in relationships? And so when I did, by me sitting still and not distracting myself with another relationship, I was able to really sit with myself and listen to all the negative talk, also all the programming, really dig back into my childhood where, patterns, were developed and how they were also showing up in relationships. And so I know a lot of times we look at negative emotions as being a bad thing, but those are actually the moments, if you use them, they can be used for leverage to propel you into your greatness. Because really, when you think about it, there is no action that you've ever really committed to before you had a strong emotional urge to do so. For instance, for example, you wanted to lose weight. I'm just throwing out examples. When you wanted to lose weight, think about it. You saw yourself in the mirror or a video, old picture or something, or you were trying to fit in that old dress you had from a long time ago, and you were like, enough is enough. I'm going on a diet Monday morning. I'm going to the grocery store. I cannot look like this again. I have to, no, we have to do something. And you started looking up diets, whatever, you started looking up ways you could lose weight because you did not want that feeling of that feeling like that, again, you wanted to fit good in your clothes, or you, whatever that emotion was, you wanted the outcome. It drove you to the end result of reaching that outcome. And so it's the same with your healing. Once you get fed up and you get tired of dealing with these types of relationships, you decide to say, you know what, I can't take it anymore. I'm no longer going to be manipulated. I'm not going to be played again like this ever again. And you do whatever it takes to get, to move forward to the result that you want and to level yourself up. And so for me, that's what it took for me. It just took me sitting still and really taking my healing journey seriously. And I decided that I was not going to go into another relationship. And that's what it took for me. I decided that I was going to be with myself, work on my journey, my healing, and work on, everything that I had never really took the time to work on. Think about the things that I enjoyed doing. We, a lot of times as empaths, we forget all about our passions in life, all about our purposes, things that we said that we were going to do, or things that we were passionate about, because we got so wrapped up into them that we forgot about the things that we actually enjoy doing, like, who am I? you know? And so I decided I was going to be by myself. And to this day, I'm single, and I'm very happy about it because I am loving the journey and falling in love with me more and more every day. And so that's what it took for me. It took me just learning how to fall in love with myself, enjoying finding out, getting back to the things I enjoy doing, like music, singing, putting together this event, speaking, all those things, connecting to a higher purpose. This event is actually a part of my healing journey because I know I needed to connect to something that was bigger than me. What was bigger than me was helping other women to get through it as well. And so I just say, find something bigger than you that you can connect to, because it's easy to sit with ourselves and say, get down on ourselves. But when you can find something bigger than you that you can move towards, and you can move towards a mission that's bigger than yourself, there's nothing that will stop you from moving forward into that.
What a great, fabulous reminder that yes, it feels good when we are honoring ourselves, when we are practicing self-love, and when we are helping others. So if you're ready to step out of that place where you're just feeling belittled, as though you're not enough, or you just can never get it right, and you just don't know how to begin, join us on October 30th. That's a Sunday. We're beginning at 9 a.m. Pacific time, and you're going to really get tools and tips and inspiration so that you can make the journey from that place of desperation, that place of trauma, and arrive in your triumph, to your triumphant, victorious moment. So, Zemiyrah, thank you so much for putting this together and for just being the one that is willing to say, it is time for each one of us to step into our power and to really understand that there is so much more to life than hurting.
Yes, thank you. Thank
So
you. And thank you
everyone,
for oh, sorry, I mean, but thank you for saying yes to this event as well. It's so amazing to have someone as amazing as yourself agree to do an event like this and to be a part of this purpose. So I'm very grateful for you as well.
thank you so much. I'm so excited to share and just to help others step out of the place that doesn't feel good. You deserve to feel good every minute of the day. It is not shameful for you to feel good about you. So take that first step. Join us on October 30th, beginning at 9 a.m. Pacific time, and get the help, the support, the guidance that you need so you can begin moving toward your triumph. I know you can do it. I believe in you. I understand it feels like a long journey, but you have our support. And now you have an opportunity to learn from so many others who have walked in your shoes and have made it out. So join us on October 30th. The link is in the description and will not cost you a penny to get the guidance that you need. Thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you on October 30th. And you're going to be so delighted that you said yes to yourself.
Yes, thank you.